There's more and more people in the Pokemon community saying to reduce cheating, all Game Freak needs to do is introduce a 0 IV bottle cap. If there was something like a rusty bottle cap, then players wouldn't need to cheat. What a load of crap. Proven by all the cheating that's always happened in Pokemon VGC. I mean, we just saw it at 2023. A rusty bottle cap doesn't stop all those players from getting disqualified and caught cheating. The cheating problem in Pokemon is coming from brats that have never experienced a moment in the real world, and they are completely ignorant to how competition operates. Countless players deliberately broke the rules at the World Championships, finally got caught, and then cried about it after getting disqualified, then demanded respect. That is how detached the Pokemon community is from competitive integrity. And you think a bottle cap is going to change it? The maker of the hacking program is so fed up with people using his program to steal prize money from competitive events, he's just gone all out exposing that, yeah, every top player and every champion is a cheater. Despite all of the quality of life that Game Freak has given us over the last decade, also, most of these Pokemon do not care about having 0 IVs in attack or speed, so that isn't the problem. Everyone is a cheater because this community is rotten and toxic. And the funny thing is, WolfeyVGC said in a recent video that low IVs don't even matter.
Using the rental code here. Just so you're aware, the team is technically slightly suboptimal. I wanted to use Shiny Toedscruel, but the one that I caught had bad attack IVs, but I didn't really care enough to reset. And Typhlosion has a non-perfect attack IV as well because it was my girlfriend's. If you don't know what that means, do not worry about it. It is literally so niche, and it didn't come up a single time during the tournament, so it probably doesn't matter.
Now the weird thing is, I caught Wolfey cheating in Players Cup 2 because his Moltres had low IVs. So it's like kind of a scummy thing to go, yeah, these things don't matter, it's niche, don't worry about it, and then he desperately needs them for any competitive advantage he can get, and he only achieves that advantage through cheating. Wolf also used a hack team for the 25th Anniversary Invitational, which really shows his career-long cheating, that he gets invited for a commemorative event, and he still can't play legitimately. And another trend I've exposed over the last decade with all of these top players is that they never actually played the games. So all of their crying about, oh, if they just made it more accessible, we wouldn't cheat, is just a lie because they never played the games to begin with. You can just go back to Generation 6 and see the game snitching on all of the top players, that outside of Ray Rizzo's hacked Dream Ball Aegislash, how is he at Nationals with no eggs hatched and he's on like a Worlds run or he's trying to play the season competitively? Another weird thing in that video from WolfeyVGC is that he couldn't even get a shiny Coughing because he's never played the games legitimately. He has no understanding of how to get legal Pokemon, which is also how I got caught with his hacked Dream Ball Raichu with an egg move that can't exist in 2016. But nah, somehow he just never cheated and his full team of shiny legendary Pokemon with hidden power in Generation 5 is legit. Now, there was complete denial from the Pokemon community that any cheating was happening back in Generation 5, 6, or 7 when it was much harder to get competitive Pokemon, but now that they keep getting caught more and more, Kurt's data mining, the disqualifications at Worlds, a new lie must be made to move the goalpost, that Pokemon is inaccessible to become competitive in. That even though Super Smash Bros. Melee is more expensive than VGC, it's somehow unfair that you have to buy and play Pokemon games to compete for tens of thousands of dollars in prize money. It's also a lie because you don't need to buy Pokemon Sword and Shield to use Urshifu in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet because of the trading ecosystem that exists inside of Pokemon. You don't even need the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet to play in Pokemon events. You just need Nintendo's highest selling console with one of its best game libraries, and then the base game that Pokemon VGC is taking place in. And Pokemon Sword and Shield are the second best selling Pokemon games of all time, so everyone already played them and there's not going to be any friction to getting Pokemon from them. Also, it's pretty important to note that the only time legendary Pokemon were available to be used in Pokemon VGC 2023 was at the Pokemon World Championships. So that also means that to believe this lie, you need to believe that someone who has never bought a Pokemon game before and never used Pokemon Home made it to the Pokemon World Championships, while having zero interaction with any other players in the franchise that literally started because of the Game Boy Link cable connectivity. No one complained about transfer and needing 2 copies of a game in Generation 7. Generation 8 was complete hypocrisy that, oh, removing Pokemon for the National Dex is the worst thing Game Freak could ever do, and then Generation 9, bringing back National Dex Pokemon is completely unacceptable and inaccessible. It's all bullshit lies and excuses because the cheaters have cheated so much and they got caught so badly they couldn't lie their way out of it. It is 100% impossible there existed a competitor in Pokemon VGC that could not use an Urshifu because they couldn't afford Pokemon Sword and Shield or obtain one through Pokemon Home or trading, while having enough money to spend thousands of dollars on a Japan vacation outside of going to the World Championships. That's what Brady said. He went, oh man, I got disqualified, whatever, I'm still gonna enjoy Japan, because that's what most of the cheaters said after they got disqualified. After spending $70 registration fees to enter the multiple events needed to get the championship points to qualify for Worlds. Wow, the people that are cheating in a children's game to steal tens of thousands of dollars are dishonest and lying about Pokemon accessibility? But you know what? A Bottlecap that reduces Urshifu and Landorus's attack and speed stats to 0 would have changed everything. Now, that got me thinking about all the changes that have made competitive Pokemon easier over the years, but have had 0 impact since there's more hacked Pokemon than ever, with trade bots, hacked raids, .com sellers, and 98 to 99% of VGC players being cheaters. But I really want to debunk that it's a 0 IV Bottlecap holding everything back, because Generation 6 is what made it possible to begin with the Destiny Knot. There was also just tons of other quality of life mechanics. Berry farming to get competitive and EV reducing berries in a really fun way. It actually feels like it was a lot easier to get EV reducing berries in Generation 6 and 7 compared to Generation 8 and 9. The Friend Safari giving you guaranteed IVs for tons of different species of Pokemon to go with the Destiny Knot change. Now, the Pokemon Company has directly ruled that breeding hacked parents makes illegal Pokemon, so anyone that's used a 6IV Ditto for breeding is a cheater, and that was pretty much everyone back in Generation 6. And the thing is, you never needed a 6IV Ditto, especially with Pokemon Bank, because you just need to have a male with 6 IVs for all of the egg groups, and chain breeding that together really isn't that difficult. It was even possible in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which had a reduced dex and horrible IV mechanics. So yeah, no hacked Pokemon should ever be in any Pokemon game if you want to be legitimate. I don't understand how the Pokemon community is so toxic that they piss themselves over that fact, even back in Generation 6. There was also the introduction of guaranteed IVs for legendary Pokemon, so you could at least get 3 max IVs that mattered for the legendary Pokemon you want to use, and it also makes the soft resetting more accessible than the trillions of odds Pokemon Wolf has used. And the funny thing is, they removed it for Mystery Gift Pokemon in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which makes Wolf's 2016 Worlds Raichu extra hacked. What Wolfey won't tell you about his Raichu is that because it's an event, you have to soft reset for the stats. Here's his Raichu. It's perfect. That means 1 in 32 odds per stat, also 1 in 25 because you can't use Synchronize on the ability for an event in Generation 6. Now, the Pika Cup event did give you 2 guaranteed IVs, but that still leaves 1 in 26 million odds. And he had 2 of them because he gave a copy away. These odds are simply not possible without hacking, especially for an event that happened the year before we even knew there was going to be GS Cup rules where this Raichu would work. Now, Wolf says this Pikachu is one of the biggest reasons he won Worlds, so it's no surprise that his friend, who also had the same hacked Raichu, got 3rd place after facing Wolf in the semifinals. So this Raichu just gave a massive advantage and no one else could have it because you need to cheat to get it. Wolfey also had perfect legendaries, Kyogre and Rayquaza, which would take thousands of hours of soft resetting each to obtain. RNG was not possible at the time Wolf and Marcus made their teams. And there's tons of documentation around this, on top of the admittance, once again, from the video maker. There were also daycare loops that made it really easy to hatch eggs and get your Pokemon to level 50 for competitive, and who knows how many other little things of quality of life that I'm forgetting in Generation 6 and am going to forget for the rest of the video, but I just want to talk about like how much was going on. So Generation 7, the infamous Bottlecap, but it goes well beyond that. We have the move Pre-Learner. We have the changes to the EV enhancing items because of SOS giving them an enhanced effect. SOS giving you guaranteed IVs, hidden abilities, the Pokepelago just being cracked, the Festival Plaza having a lot of really useful tools for getting competitive Pokemon. And then other competitive features getting quality of life and feeling better. Also, battle facilities getting better for farming and getting competitive items. So a lot of quality of life to make competitive Pokemon more accessible, and cheating went down 0% in the 3DS era. Over 90% of players had cheated Pokemon on the battle spot, and that percentage is only going to go higher as we get into VGC for fame and fortune. And because more and more people are buying and playing the games, the volume of hacked Pokemon only goes up. So what happened in the Switch era? Well, there's absolutely no excuse to ever having a Generation 1 hacked Pokemon when Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee had the Nature Lady and Catch combos. And even though there's never been a valid excuse to cheating, even for Generation 5 competitive Pokemon, Catch combos for getting a 6IV Ditto made it to where absolutely no excuse, no way to weasel out of it. But 99% of players still got a hacked Ditto to breed with.
And I'm hoping that a large part of that is due to a lack of like knowledge by people who are like being hateful on like how breeding mechanics and stuff works, and how like VGC and stuff worked. To a Raichu event back in Gen 5, but it was male only, so you couldn't pass down the ball. And so because of that, and that actually like is an interesting point, you can't legally get a Raichu in a Dream Ball without hacking, is like what you what you could believe. But the thing is that if you are traded a Raichu that has been hacked and you breed from it, and the Raichu is female and it's in a Dream Ball, you can like obtain perfectly legal Pichu like eggs that are like totally legal and in Dream Balls just because the parent was hacked.
What about Pokemon Sword and Shield? Again, too many changes to remember because we have rare candies on steroids through easily accessible raid events. Vitamins became uncapped on EVs, so now you could EV train a Pokemon through just vitamins, which makes me remember I forgot that in Generation 6 you had the Horde battling, which was really good for EV training. Nature and ability changing items to remove even more friction from getting competitive Pokemon, as well as wild area events that gave you high IV Dittos and breeding focused items and gameplay. There was also the change that let you transfer egg moves between Pokemon without having to rebreed them, and that is one of the most massive things that has ever happened to Pokemon breeding, but it also exposes the rusty Bottlecap argument. These are cheaters who have never engaged with the game's competitive systems, moving the goalpost and then trying to justify cheating. If it takes longer than a minute to get a competitive Pokemon, all of these players will hack just as much no matter how many changes happen. We also had the Cram-O-Matic. The DLC did incredible things for quality of life and item accessibility and all kinds of other stuff. And then we get to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which has made it so easy that breeding has become completely invalidated. Oh, what's that? You just need to get a Pokemon to level 50, which takes barely any time through the EXP candies. You can buy PP ups, you can buy mints, you can buy ability capsules, you don't have to use battle points to get competitive items, and you don't even need the same species of Pokemon for egg moves, and cheating went down 0%. Pokemon Worlds was finally hosted in Japan, where they do not mess around with this stuff in 2023, and so many players got disqualified, we don't even know the extent of how many players got disqualified, and everyone that didn't get disqualified is already a confirmed cheater in the past, like Wolf Glick, or got caught cheating in the future, such as Gavin Michaels and Riley Factura and so many other players. And then bad actors, straight up evil people like Wolf Glick, I'm a Blisy, Pokemon Challenges, still defend cheating in VGC, make up countless excuses and lies about how competitive Pokemon isn't acceptable. Out of all those changes that have happened over a decade, but nah, a rusty Bottlecap will change it all. People say I'm too harsh on cheaters. This is why. They are lying scumbags. They are entitled brats that will never work for anything in their life, no matter how much you give them. They choose to harm other people by cheating against them and then lying about it to steal tens of thousands of dollars in prize money, and in cases like Wolf Glick, achieve extreme fame and fortune. The dude's a millionaire because he cheated in Pokemon and never got caught or held accountable by the Pokemon community. And despite that, he still lies about his ill-gotten gains along with every other influencer in the Pokemon community but me, because they are happy to exploit children for their own gain. There is no sympathy, there is no seeing it from the other side, there's no trying to figure out why, let's look at why they would cheat. No, these are completely voluntary rules. Choosing to break them objectively makes you a bad person. End of story. Cheating is wrong.